Raila Odinga is a central figure in Kenya's post-independence politics, taking after his father Jaramogi Odinga, who was deeply involved in the fight against colonialism, alongside other leaders including the famous Kapenguria Six. He was born at Maseno Church Missionary Society Hospital on 7th January 1945 to the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who was the first Vice President of the Republic of Kenya. He took his early education at the Kisumu Primary School, Maranda Primary School, before joining Maranda High School in Bondo until 1962. He spent the next 2 years studying at the Herder Institute, which is part of the philosophical faculty of the University of Leipzig in East Germany. In 1965, he received a scholarship to join Technical School Magdeburg, which is a new part of the Otto von Guericke University Magdeburg in the German Democratic Republic, where he graduated with a master's in mechanical engineering. Raila returned to Kenya in 1970 and established the Standard Processing Equipment Construction and Erection Limited Company, later renamed East Africa Spectre, specializing in the manufacture of low petroleum gas cylinders. In 1973, he married Ida Oyo, with whom he has 4 children: the late Fidel Castro, Rosemary Akeo, Raila Jr., and Winnie Imgard.
When we went to university, we thought we were very careful, because we were saying that we would not like to marry lawyers, people who are doing BA General, whatnot. We were looking for engineers, doctors, and such like people, because these are people who are most likely would not go into politics, because that's what we thought. So when I met an engineer, they said, yeah, little did we know that one day he'll become a political engineer.
In 1974, Raila was the Group Standard Manager at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, a post he held until 1982 when he was detained after the attempted coup against President Moi's regime. Raila's introduction into politics goes back to the days when living with his father, the doyen of Kenyan pre- and post-independence. Politics in their city council house in Jericho was one of the nerve centers for the heroes of Kenya's independence.
We were living in an estate called Kaloleni, and that became the converging point of the people who were dissatisfied with the colonial regime at the time.
Right.
So some of them, my father's old friends, they would come. My father would talk politics with them, telling them what had happened that day, because those were the days of state of emergency. The Mama had been proscribed, and Oneko, who had been living with us in the same house, had been arrested and was one of the Kapenguria Six. So that was my introduction into politics.
After the attempted coup of 1982 and 7 months later, he was put under house arrest.
These people were always parked at my gate, watching over me, and it became, in the end, we just thought it's a way of life. I can tell you one time when we moved into a new house, and we had this person sitting right at the veranda of the house. And I asked him, what are you doing here? I said, he wasn't talking. I said, what are you doing at my door? There was no answer. Eventually, I asked him, who sent you here? Then he said, Mkubwa.
Right.
I didn't know who Mkubwa was. Who is Mkubwa? There was no answer.
Wow.
So I was very annoyed, but we just left, and this went on and on for months when we were in that house. Eventually we said, this is an extra watchman. We don't need to be annoyed. And in the evening when we are going to bed, we'd give him black coffee and say,
what?
Have a good night.
So you found a way to just cope?
Yeah, I just find a way to cope with it.
And later charged with treason. He was detained for 6 years. His mother, Mary Ajuma, died in 1984, but the prison authority did not inform him until 2 months later, which was very traumatizing above the detention torture. He was released on 6th February 1988, but 6 months later, he was again detained in September 1988 by President Moi for his involvement with human rights and pro-democracy activism that was pressing for multi-party democracy in Kenya. He was released on 12th June 1989 and jailed one more time on 5th July 1990, along with Kenneth Matiba and former Nairobi Mayor Charles Rubia. On being released on 21st June 1991, he fled the country to Norway, fearing for his life after several threats by the Moi regime in October 1991. All this time, the state in many ways abused his wife's basic rights, including losing her teaching job and being harassed to vacate the staff houses at the Kenya High School where she was teaching. At the time of going to exile in Norway, the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy, FORD, was formed to agitate for the return of more NDP and KANU.
There's nothing stronger than all the armies in the world, and that is an idea whose time has come.
He served in Moi's cabinet as Minister for Energy from June 2001 to 2002 during Moi's final term. He was elected Secretary General of KANU, replacing the late J.J. Kamodho. The presidential elections on 21st December 2007, Raila had Musalia Mudavadi as his running mate. Kibaki's win by about 272,000 votes was disputed by ODM leaders, leading to a call for mass action. Violence broke out. Following 2 months of unrest almost plunging the country into a civil war that led to Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General, to broker a truce and the sharing of power through the cabinet, and Raila became the second Kenyan to hold the office of the Prime Minister after Kenyatta in the government of national unity.
The Parliament and all Kenyans will work with the government and the leaders to get it done. I also appeal to all Kenyans to work with President Kibaki and Prime Minister-designate Raila Odinga to heal and reconcile this nation. This is a great nation. It has a great future.
Without peace, there can be no unity. Without unity, there can be no nation, and there can be no development.
Hebu nionyeshe mikono kwenye hewa.